Roche, amazing Derek Roche. Derek Roche, a Goldsboro native, has been Diddy's personal stylist on and off for over 10 years. The role has taken him around the world, styling the billionaire from boardroom meetings, meals, performances, shoots, red carpet events like the Met Gala, everywhere. He's even been tasked with dressing the likes of Cassie, Nicki Minaj, Usher, and others along the way as well. Um, Derek is an amazing individual. Like, I can't wait to bring him in the room. We are from the same hometown, which is mind blowing to me. Even when I met him, I'm like, wait, you're from where? And so, coming from where he's from and doing what he's doing is like, it's an honor for me to get him to come up here and have a conversation with us. So, let's welcome everybody. Put your hearts up. Put your orange hearts up for Derek. Derek, where you at? Okay. Hey, hey, hey. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Derek, where you at? I'm bringing you in the room. I'm bringing you in the room. I'm bringing you in the room. I'm bringing you in the room.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Derek. How are you?
What's up, sir?
Nothing much. What's up with you?
I've just made this amazing appointment with you, and I'm so excited that Terrell gave me that award-winning introduction. I'm made me smile. I'm excited.
Yes, as you should. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make you smile coming into the room because as I know this isn't something you do often. So I appreciate the fact that you're even doing this for me. I was waiting. I've been thinking about you. I've been doing this. This is now the 46th show. I thought about you since show 2, but I was like, I need a minute. There's certain it was like, I need a minute. Let me massage this. But then I'm so glad it was the final week, and I was like, I have to get him on before this is over. So thank
Oh,
you.
well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Just so everybody in the room knows, I do not do this. I hate to hear myself talk. I hate to see myself.
We
Um,
love to hear it and
yeah,
see it.
I love to be behind the scenes. So the fact that I'm on, the spotlight right now, isn't always my best place. But because I'm here with you, it makes it so much better. So thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Perfect. Of course. Okay. Where are you right now? Looks like you're at Ride.
So yeah, I am. I'm at my store. Um,
Shout out to Ride.
I know we've been quarantined. Obviously, our store has been closed, so we've just been doing like by appointment, curbside stuff. So I was just in here doing some housekeeping, and I was like, let me just stay right here, because I'll get busy doing something. I was like, I'm gonna sit my little happy butt right here, so I'm on time. So here I am.
I love it. Okay. So, and Ride is in, well, I know, of course, but tell the people.
Okay, so Rye is a store that me and my brother Joshua, who's 2 years older than me, we had the idea literally when I was at Vibe. And we just always were so busy. And we honestly waited to the busiest times in our life to open the store, which is ironic. So after I moved from New York to LA, and then my brother had 3 kids, is when we decided to open up Rise. So it's a streetwear, skatewear shop, in our hometown Goldsboro, and it's right downtown. Yeah, so we sell like fly sneakers, skateboards, Supreme,
It's so
vintage.
lit.
Yeah, we have an amazing vintage collection. So it's just a mix of cool stuff for the kids like us that are in Goldsboro, who want to touch and feel and see like some things that might not be readily available, in like an hour radius from where we grew up. So yeah.
And thank you so much for that. So, like I said, you guys, I am from the town over, the same county. Like, we're pretty much from the same hometown, which
Yeah.
is mind blowing to me. But when you open Rye, it's just like, it's such a breath of fresh. It's like, yes, thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for bringing that to the country. Like, we needed that in our area. So
Yes.
that's so amazing. Whenever I go home now, I'm like, actually, I do good shopping at home now. Like, I can go home and shop. Like,
Right.
which
Right.
is amazing. So, okay, so you're from Goldsboro, North Carolina. Okay, now I want to trace these steps from Goldsboro to now working with Puff and traveling all over, but let's do it slowly. I'm gonna ease you into it.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So, where'd you go to college?
I went to college here in North Carolina. I stayed in North Carolina. I went to UNC Greensboro.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what'd you study? What did you study there?
Well, I have to preface that with a story, of course.
Okay, I love
Um,
a story.
yeah. So my math teacher, shout out to Miss Clark. Her daughter Julie was a speech pathology major at UNC Greensboro. So I was at Miss Clark's house studying for finals or something, and Julie was telling me about how she was going to UNC Greensboro and she was a speech pathology major and blah blah blah. I was like, oh my god, that sounds so exciting! I'm gonna do that. So I literally applied for the same school, applied for the same department, and it wasn't until my first semester sophomore year that my best friend Allison, who's also from Goldsboro, who also went to UNCG, she was like, Derek, what the hell are you doing majoring in speech pathology? And so I was like, girl, I don't know. She was like, you need to change your major. So she was actually in the textile design program. And at this time, we were in school, so we were going to the thrift stores. We were buying. You can't do this anymore, but we were trying to pick up like vintage Louis Vuitton, like all the secondhand stores. This was way before like everybody was on it like they are now. So we were buying like pieces from the thrift stores and
Yes.
bleaching them and cutting them and adding stuff and taking stuff away. So she was like, Derek, you're crazy. So I literally changed my major. I think it was my second semester sophomore year when I got into the textile design program. So my major was really to design fabric.
Okay.
So plaids, polka dots, more like whatever it was. So my background is really in fabric. And we did draping, pattern making, illustration.
Oh,
We did the whole
nice.
thing, but my concentration was fabric.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so in high school, you were like speech pathologist. That's what I want to do, just randomly.
Well, I
I
was
mean,
still I was still serving looks in high school. I was
be
like
clear.
somehow I was still serving looks in high school, but I didn't know that it could be it wasn't a career for me. It wasn't like a trajectory for me for a career move until I got to college.
Got you. Now,
Yeah,
why do you think that is? Because a lot of a big part of also why I want to create this platform is for, again, for the knowledge and for people to be able to see it, the visibility of these opportunities. And I can speak directly to you because we come from the same area where it's just like you don't really understand that those things are options. You know what I'm saying? You don't
right.
understand that you can be a stylist or that there's these creative job opportunities that are there. So,
Yeah.
and you not even seeing that, like, did you not even understand that until college? Like that you could be a stylist?
Um. Yeah, it really wasn't stylist for me. Like I never aspired. Like even now, I don't even say like I'm a celebrity stylist.
What do you say?
I tell people I'm a fashion intern because
Speak on it. Go ahead.
I tell people I'm a fashion intern because the first thing we want to know is, and it does not make me feel any kind of way that people want to know about Puff Daddy or they want to know about Nicki Minaj or they want to know about Usher. They want to know like, whatever. So I always tell people I'm a fashion intern and, I just let it roll from there. And then as the conversation progresses, then of course, the thing comes out. But yeah, I don't know in high school if I was much as a fashionista, more so than I was just living my life. But it was in college when I was more into Vogue. I was more into GQ. I was more into Vibe magazine. I was more online, like doing, like figuring out, like who are these people in New York, these like underground designers, and what's going on with Jean Paul Gaultier, and what's going on with Thierry Mugler. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until I got to college that I really started, honing my craft with regards to research and just, absorbing, that knowledge. So then, and again, that was happening simultaneously while I was creating things. So not for nothing, like I was in a no,
What?
nobody laughed, but I was in
Okay.
a dance troupe in college, but I also like designed some of the costumes. So,
Yes.
yes, I was dancing in college and designing some of the costumes in college. And so, and then they had like a fashion troupe in college. So I think it all kind of organically happened. All at one time while at UNCG. But the crazy part is that even though I went to UNCG for speech pathology, they happen to have a fashion program at that school. There's only a few colleges in
That
North
have,
Carolina that even
yeah.
offer a fashion program. So
Look at God.
exactly, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes. So I think it organically happened, and I think that's the one thing that I try to tell people, whether it's a student or up and coming stylist or whomever, is hey everybody. I'm trying to see these messages.
Talk to me. We'll see them later. They have their own fun out there.
Oh, okay,
Talk to
okay.
me. Okay.
So, I lost my train of thought.
You said what you try to
Oh
tell.
yeah. So
Okay.
I think as long as you start with a plan for something, it will lead you to where you're supposed to go, with God's plan, right? So even though I might be going to UNCG for speech pathology, it led me right to where I needed to be. And it took, my friend Allison to throw that little, thing in, or like, what the hell are you doing? But, backtrack, it also was like the influence of my mom and the way she dressed, the influence of my brothers and the way they dressed, the influence of my sister and the way she dressed, and like hearing
Yes.
stories of my mom, talk about my grandma, when she would like go to work in DC, and like what she had on and what she would wear and how she sewed. So I think that, no pun intended, all those seeds were sown, into my brain, and the storytelling that my mom gave me. All that was kind of like the silver lining, that kind of prepared me, so that when my friend Allison was like, "What are you doing?" I think it took all of that preparation to like click. And
To
then
immediately.
yeah, yeah,
Got you.
yeah,
Got you. And then you fell into it. Okay. So
yeah.
then you're at UNCG. When did you decide? When was the New York? How did New York come into play for you?
So when I started in the program, the really good thing about my professor, Miss Sherry, shout out to Miss Sherry.
Hey, Miss
Um,
Sherry.
she was really about like being inspired by unorthodox things, right? So we would have to go outside and design something around a tree, or go into the trash can in the classroom and design something from something that someone had thrown in the trash. So because of that and my natural inquisitiveness, I always was doing research and trying to think ahead and think outside of the box. But I was also doing mad research on these designers, that had the like. We obviously did historical research from back in the early 1800s and costume design. But of
Hmm.
course, I was all about like, somehow I found myself to like what was going on in Paris, what was going on in Milan, and I mentioned Gautier and Galliano and McQueen and all this. So I was like in North Carolina, and I just grew up like middle class. Like we had a few coins, but I wasn't like wearing like designers every day to class. So I was really just trying to do as much research and educate myself, all the way from historical costume to like modern day like designers and things that were like moving the fashion market at that time in college.
Hmm.
So I think that's what ignited the fire in me to like get outside of North Carolina and like what is outside of here. Because remember now, in North Carolina, there was a lot of factories and mills. So there
Yes.
was like a fashion apparel manufacturing, network in North Carolina. But like I was more like on the higher end fashion and the global,
Yes.
impact that high end fashion had made. So I kind of wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to see it. I wanted to be around it. And
Yes.
because we had to complete an internship to graduate, I was like, well, I don't really want to do an internship in a factory in North Carolina. Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it, but I don't want to do
That's not what I want to do.
it.
So
Yeah.
I started doing my research on the internet in the computer lab. And I literally was researching any and every company that I found interesting. And I worked part time at Bank of America. So Bank of America paid for everything. Whatever my mom could contribute and my brother could contribute, Bank of America picked up the slack. So amen. Another
Amen.
hallelujah to Bank of America.
Hallelujah. Look at
Hallelujah.
God.
So when I would be at Bank of America in between work, I would print off all of my resumes. This is when we were still using fax machines. And
Yes.
I would be at work, and every time I got a quick break, I would fax over a resume to Donna Karen, to Ann Klein, to Tommy Hilfiger. And lo and behold, after 100, I'm not kidding, after 100 resumes going out, I think I maybe got like 10 emails back or callbacks. I got 5 interviews, and I only got 1 internship. And the internship was with Patricia Fields' company, who she had,
Oh.
yeah. So she had just finished. Yeah, it just fell right in my
It
lap.
felt right. Right. What God has for you is for you. That is
See?
everything.
Yep. So
Yes.
out of the 100, I got to 10, got to 5, got to 1. So, and with further research, I'll just end this quickly. I was like, where the hell am I going to stay in New York? I did not have
That part.
family. I didn't have friends. So I told my mama, I was like, Mama, NYU has dorms that they rent out during the summertime because they're still trying to make money during the summertime when their students leave for the summer, that they rent out their dorms so people like me who come into the city for summer internships have a place to
Have a
stay.
place to stay.
So I was like, Mama, will you please help me pay for this, this dorm? And I think it was like $1,800 for 6 weeks. And so my mom helped me pay for the dorm. And I
Oh
went
yeah.
to New York and I stayed at NYU's dorm. And that's where I did my first internship.
And so you were still in college then?
I was it was the summer of my junior year in college.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then what was that New York experience like for you?
Oh, okay. So let me get you started.
Get me
So
started.
I was finally in New York. So you remember now, like, New York is one of the many, fashion capitals of the world, right? So let's just say
Yes.
there's 7 or 8. There's,
Yes.
Tokyo and Milan and Paris and London and
Paris
New
and
York and
London.
blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
I was in one of the many. So for me, I was like, and I had been to New York before, but not to work, not to be
Yes.
a part of the moment, not to be a part of
Right?
the
With
network.
Patricia Field. Like what?
Right.
Yeah.
So I basically was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. So every minute that I was there, I had to capitalize on that opportunity. So I would go to work at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I would get off at 6 o'clock at night. And one of the things I do tell people, even to this day for internships, I had, the marble like notebooks you get from the dollar store, the like
Yep.
marble composition
Yep.
books.
Yep.
So
Uh-huh.
they make little baby ones that you can fit in your back pocket. So I had
Yep.
one of those, and in my internship, every time my like supervisor would like say somebody's name, I would write it down. When they would call out a restaurant, a venue, a stylist, a makeup artist, a whoever, anything that I did not already know, wrote it down, and I would put that in my little back pocket.
Yes.
Anyway, so then after work, I would get off at like 6, 7 o'clock. I literally would walk around Manhattan until my feet hurt so bad. I was so exhausted that then I would go back to my room. But what I was doing was walking around and like looking
Taking
at
it in.
buildings,
Yes.
finding places I had read in the magazines, finding places I had saw pictures of, finding places I had seen online. And so I was just really walking around and absorbing. And not only was I seeking out places, I also was being inspired, by the fashion on the streets, the
Yes.
people on the subway, the buildings. Like I was looking for prostitutes on the West Side Highway. Like I wanted to know, what are these prostitutes
People.
wearing in New York City? Yes. So I was getting inspired by all facets of New York City. But then when I would
Oh
get
my
home,
God.
I would take out my notebook and I would Google all of these people. Well, I don't even know if Google was around, but however I would search,
You research.
yes,
Yeah.
all of the names and the stylists and the people that they had spoke about. So anyway,
I
so that was
love that.
kind of my
That was
thing.
your that was your self education time. So you had the internship, but you were like, you know what? I'm gonna be a student of New York, this
Yes.
scene, these people. I'm people
Mm-hmm.
watching. I'm exploring the city. Like I remember coming whenever I moved here too. Like that is the most amazing part. Is like kind of sort of getting lost in the city. Like
Yes.
because there's so much that you discover. It was just like I used to find it fun whenever I just get on the train and just ride, and then whenever I come above ground, like what neighborhood am I in now? Like
Right.
what am I gonna discover?
Get lost.
So get lost.
Yes. Yes.
Find yourself.
Yes.
Like that. I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. So from there, so from then you knew you wanted to move to New York. Like, so did you move to New York right after that? Who? Hey, hey,
Send
we
me a
have an interview
message.
going on. It's an interview.
No.
Text him. No, we got an interview. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
People trying to shop. They need to stay in the house.
Stay in the house. Stay home. Hashtag stay home. Okay. So yeah. So after that, after you graduated, you moved to New York.
Yeah, so when I came back to my internship, I thought I was fabulous. So I was going back to UNC Greensboro, telling everybody about New York, and I did this and I did that. I got the bug. I really got the bug, and the irony in that is I'm super super family oriented, like
Yes.
super. For anybody
Same.
who knows me, like they know I'm a mama's boy. I love my mama. I love my brothers and my sister. I love my nieces. I
Yes.
love being home. Um,
Yes.
but I just knew that like something about New York just started a fire inside of me. Just wanted to be able to be creative and contribute to all of that I had read and I had seen. So by the time I got back to school, that was the beginning of my senior year. I was like, my mind's made up. I'm moving to New York. I don't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how I
Okay.
was going to afford it. I didn't know if my mom was going to be like, no, you're not. Like, like, I didn't really know. But I just started that research all over again. And I'll give you this quick beat, whether you're going to ask about it or not.
Give it to
Um,
me.
I knew that coming from UNC Greensboro, which is a really small art school, I couldn't compete with the FIT kids. So I couldn't compete with the Fashion Institute. I couldn't compete with Pratt. I couldn't compete with and Parsons and all these other like fashion schools. And at the same time, there was also Central St. Martin's in London.
Yes.
And like I was like, I can't compete with these people. They probably already had an internship at McQueen. They've already I had an internship with Marc Jacobs. Like I haven't, I've only got this one internship. So I did try to like send my resume out and get jobs. This was again towards the middle part of my senior year in college.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get another internship. So I had to think of a way to figure out how I was still going to maneuver myself into this
Mm.
network. Like, how am I going to compete with some of these same kids, whether they're from North Carolina or they're from New York or they're from Miami or London? Like, how am I going to compete? So where I will be, I guess I knew that the competition was fierce to get into,
Yes.
the job market. So
Yes.
I started doing the same thing. I started the internship process all over
Oh,
again. I started faxing those resumes again at Bank of America. And during that, like I think we had like a spring break.
uh-huh.
I went back to New York for spring break in my senior year, and that's when I did my interviews for when I would be graduated.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember all the places I interviewed with, but this time I landed at Vibe magazine. And
Yes, Vibe magazine.
that's how I landed. Shout out to Debbie Smith.
Shout out to Bevy. Hey mother. Hey
Hey,
Debbie
Mother
Smith.
Debbie.
No,
Um,
how is that? Like even okay, no. I'll let you keep going. There's so much in me. Go ahead.
no. So I guess just when you were talking about how did I make it to New York, I guess I knew, and Miss Sherry told me like that was the thing. Like when you've got people, like a good professor or a good mom or a good friend, who's helping, put these little thoughts in your brain and preparing you for life and preparing you for a job hunt, preparing you for your craft. Like Miss Sherry is like, it's fierce out there. Like there's 100 more of you. So I guess like
Yes.
I just had to figure out like what made sense for me and how was I going to challenge, myself to compete with these people. And that was the idea. Like I can't compete, but I can get another internship. So I did that, but then I also had to get a job. So real quickly, I interned full time at Vibe from like 9 to 6, and then I would go to the Gap on 23rd and 8th and work at the Gap from like 6 to 11. So I would work, like all day long, and I'd still pump the pavement after I got off at Gap, and was still walking
Yes.
around and getting inspired and still interviewing
Yeah.
prostitutes.
Did you ever find a prostitute?
I don't think I really ever found any, but I knew they were there. I just wanted to know what they were wearing. Like I wanted to see what, like, what Julia Roberts. Where was
Pretty
Julia
woman,
Roberts?
what's he giving?
Yeah, like
Where
I
is
need to
she?
find like a real prostitute or Julia Roberts somewhere in Manhattan. So anyway,
I cannot. Okay, I love that. So what I was saying was like, so then you're working, like Vibe is like iconic.
right?
You know what I'm saying? And you're coming from North Carolina. First off, you already worked with Trisha Field after, that summer. But then you're coming back to Vibe magazine. And although you were interning, you're still in the building with where like hip hop urban fashion was put on the map. Shout out Debbie Smith. Shout out, the whole Vibe crew, because y'all go hard for each other. I love
Yes.
that. But yeah, so how y'all Vibe kids, y'all Vibe folks, y'all go hard. I love all of you. But yeah, so how was that? How did that feel in that time? Like, speak to what the culture was like at Vibe during that era.
I think I got there. It was still booming. Like Bob was still the moment. But I
Yeah.
also was getting there when it had been a moment for a while, which was good for me. Because, we were still shooting like Mary J. Blige for the cover and, like Alicia Keys for the cover. And that was when, A. Keys was at, killing.
Yes.
So anyway, can I be honest?
Be honest.
I think I was working so hard to do good, that I oftentimes got lost and didn't realize how the legends that I was surrounded by, right?
Mm,
Like the makeup artists and the hairstylists. It was like, oh, like I'm in the building
you were in the building.
with these legendary people I've read about, shooting at studios that have like shot some of the most iconic pictures with the best photographers. Like, so I think for me, it was like I didn't even have the opportunity to bask in all of my glory. I was
Mm-hmm.
so busy trying to work, um, and be as good as the people that I was working around and surrounded by. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, like I don't even think I had time to think until it was like I got on the phone with like my mom or my
And then you're
brother.
telling her what you did. Like, oh,
Yes,
today.
yes. Or until like this is so random, but like until I was like somewhere and like I ran into Kumo D, who growing up with my brothers, who my brother's like, oh, Dolce and Gabbana, like who cares? But I ran into Kumo D and I got his autograph, like little silly stuff like that. Then my brother Andy was like, what, Kumo D, or like I would go to like Tommy Hilfiger's, like showroom appointment, and I would like see him over in the corner, and I was like, oh my God, like I skipped school in high school to go to the
To go.
mall and meet Tommy Hilfiger in high school, and now like I'm
I'm in
at
the
his
room. I'm
showroom.
working. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's standing over in the corner. So then of course I called my girlfriend that I skipped school and I was like, bitch, sorry kid, like I just saw Tommy Hilfiger. So back then, it was those little small things that made it meaningful for me. It made it meaningful for me where I could share a story, with like one of my friends from when we were younger or when we were in college, and be like, oh my God, so anyway, yeah, so I guess I was so busy working and trying to prove my work ethic and my talent. And again, I was still learning. So I was like, I
Yes.
didn't even know how much talent I had at the time. I was just trying to like,
See, but
trying to
I
do my
love
thing.
that.
Yeah.
I
So
love
I
that.
really, I didn't have time to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
But you know what? I think that speaks to what a lot of creatives who have been part of this office hours moment that we've had have been speaking to.
Mm,
And it's about doing the work.
right.
Like
Right.
you were focused on doing the work, that you weren't like, oh my God, Tommy, oh my God. It was just like, no, I'm
Right.
booked. I got
Mm-hmm.
things to do. And
Yes.
so I think that also, even though you're saying like I didn't get to, I feel like you did appreciate it. You appreciate it because you did the work and look at you now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
Whereas,
Right.
so that's the work in it. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that. That's beautiful. That's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Okay. All right, cool. Because we only got 20 minutes. I told you this goes fast.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get to okay. So what happened? What happened after that? That's a bullet. That's a dot to get us where we are. I don't know if we go straight to Puff or Diddy or Mr. Combs. I don't know. We'll talk about it. But
I'm gonna tell you how these dots got connected. So
okay.
and this is really organic. This is not me trying to preach a sermon. But remember I talked about the little notebook where I took my notes. One of the names when I was at Patricia Fields was Michael Nash. Michael Nash at one time was a fashion director at Vibe. I ended up working in my tenure at Vibe as an intern. Bevy might remember this, but I worked there for 6 months for free. I trained 2 fashion assistants. So I had a degree and I trained 2 fashion assistants to take a job that I was qualified for. I'm like, hello, like, why would you just hire me if I'm training these people and I'm an assist, like, I mean, a fashion intern? Like, why would you just give me the
Why
fashion
wouldn't you
assistant
just?
position? Yeah. Well, anyway, one of the people that I had written in the book was Michael Nash. Michael Nash, at when I decided that I couldn't be at Vibe anymore, I was like, I have to go. Like, I have to know my value and my worth. It was heartbreaking. Like, literally, my last day at Vibe, I was crying like a baby. Because I had given like my everything. Like, I was there early, I was there late. Like, me and Gerard Lax, who was my partner in crime, like,
Yes, Gerard.
me and Gerard interned together under Emil. We
Yes.
worked under Michael. We worked under John Moore. So shout out to Emil and John and Michael. And then, well, it goes back full circle because then I ended up working with Mimsor
So I know. Yes.
later in life. But anyway,
Yes.
so my point is that Michael was in my notebook, but I ended up working with Michael. And I quit. And Michael, when I quit, Michael gave me 3 names. He said, if you ever need extra work or you're looking for work, contact these 3 people. By that time, I had gotten a full-time job working in production. A lot of people don't know this. I worked in production for Ralph Lauren. So it kind of went back to
Didn't
my
know that.
program from UNC Greensboro. That was my first real
Oh.
job outside of college after my internship. So a girl that I worked with at the Gap, she was working full-time at this production house for Ralph Lauren and part-time at the Gap. She got promoted and she was like, Derek, you should apply for my job. Well, guess what the job was? A receptionist. I'm like, girl, I don't want to be a receptionist at a freaking production office. Like, I don't want to answer the telephone. And she was like, no, just apply. Like, it's a salary job, like whatever. So I applied and I got the job. While I was at Ralph Lauren working in production, I was constantly still talking to the people who I had worked with, at Vibe and at Patricia Field's office. And one of the 3 guys that Michael told me about texted me one day or called me one day. And he was like,
Uh-huh.
I got your, message or email or whatever. He was like, I have a job tomorrow. Are you available? I was like, yes, I'm available. But I had a full-time job. So I called in sick from work. And I went and assisted Daniel O, who was at Cargo Magazine, and Cargo was at Condé Nast. So Condé Nast was like
Yeah.
the holy
The
grail.
Holy Grail. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, for editorial, like a dream come true. So I was like, oh baby, I'm sick. I'm calling in. I'm sick. So I go to work. I work for Daniel. I was like the Tasmanian devil. I was trying to work so hard and do so good. And lo and behold, maybe like 2 weeks later, Daniel called me and was like, we're actually hiring for a fashion assistant. He was like, I was really impressed, with the way you worked and how the attention you had to detail. He was like, I would love to interview you and do a formal interview and then let you interview with my boss. And his boss was Bruce Pask. So I don't know if you know Bruce, but Bruce is the fashion director for Bergdorf Goodman and Neiman Marcus.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Bruce was the boss, at that particular book at the time. And so, long story short, Bruce ended up hiring me, and that's how I transitioned from working in production and going to Conde.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
lot, but
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I got 15 minutes. I got to do this
okay,
very strategically. Hold on.
okay.
Okay. So then, okay. Was that when you were, when did you go back to Vibe for market editor? Is
So I worked at Cargo for about
Okay.
2 years at
Okay.
Conde. I
Okay.
worked at Conde, and John Moore. I had interned for John
Okay.
while I was interning at Vibe, and John Moore was looking for a new market editor. So it was a level up
Level up.
from fashion assistant. So remember, I wanted to get the fashion assistant position at Vibe, and they overlooked me twice.
And so
So
the,
when
le-
John
the,
called, he was hiring for a market editor position, and he hired me, and I came back to Vibe as a market editor, not a fashion assistant. So, but the good thing is that's why you have to follow the path that even though it might not feel good, you might not think it's right at the time. Your feelings might be hurt, and you're confused. But if you keep working and be on your grind and really just follow your passion and prove, your worth and your value, then it will come back in the form of 2 years later in a higher position.
in a higher position.
Yeah,
Yes, everything. There's a
yeah.
lesson in that. Yes, take that. Okay, now, again, because we have 13 minutes. Okay, so then from Vibe Market Editor, you were there for how long?
I think I was at Vibe for like a year and a half, and John Moore left, and Mimsor came.
Uh
So then
huh.
I worked under Mimsor, who was amazing. And
The
I will
Harry
say this,
Mansour.
I thought working at Conde, like I had learned everything there was to know, right? Like, oh, I worked at Conde, like the best of the best. And I remember there being days where I would leave notes on Mimsor's desk, and I'd be like, thank you so much for teaching me this, or reminding me that there's always more to learn, or there's another way of
Mm.
doing things. So me working under Mimsor was amazing. And so while I was at Vibe, a friend of mine was interviewing for a marketing position at Sean John.
Okay.
And the chief of staff just randomly asked him during his interview if he knew any stylists because Puff was looking for a new stylist to travel with him to Europe for Cannes Film Festival, for Saint Tropez, for St. Bart's, and all this. And of course, my big mouth friend was like, absolutely. I know 10 stylists. I was literally one of 5 stylists that he gave her, numbers for. She contacted me. I went through like literally a month long interview process to get this job. I was staying at Vibe, after hours working on these presentations. Sorry, Mimsor. And staying at Vibe, trying to do these presentations for Puff. And I will say one of the most iconic memories I have when you were talking about like how did it feel to be in the room and surrounded by such greatness. One of the interviews or the first interview I had with Puff, I had to meet him at the studio. And I'm like looking at him like, at the soundboard or whatever. And he's like making music. And I'm like, am I really like watching Puff make music? Because we
Oh,
grew up diddy bopping like in high school
that's
and
what I'm
college.
saying. I'm like,
Yeah. So I was like, ah. So anyway, so needless to say, after a month long, like super intense interview process, let me rewind. I think I heard from them about a month and a half after the interview process started. And I didn't know this till 2 years later, but I was their second choice. They hired someone over me. That guy stayed for like 3 weeks. They got rid of him, and then they hired me as the second pick. Yeah.
what?
So it's just funny to know that, like after the fact. Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay. And so, but, okay, so then that's when Puff, now you're here.
So I went from working primarily in editorial and working with a lot of A-list celebrities and top models and talent to working full time just for Puff as his personal, stylist for any and everything. So whether he was going to a meeting, whether he was going on a red carpet, a video, a commercial, personal travel, any and everything that involves fashion. I kind of oversaw from day one. So yeah,
That is crazy.
yeah,
Okay. And you've been doing that since with a couple. Yes. Go ahead.
yeah. So there was a few highs and lows.
Okay.
I
And how was
went,
it? Because again, you said you've been diddy bopping since high school. Now you're working with your perceivably dream client, and then
right.
now you're going through these. Go ahead.
Okay, so the ebbs and flows of Puff Daddy. I think that he pushed me harder than I had ever been pushed. I don't know if he was hazing me. In addition to just being super intense, because of the nature of his business, the nature of the responsibilities that he had to uphold. But I worked for him for 4 months. And I think with my tenure in New York, everything I had experienced in New York, and then finally working with Puff, I think I literally got burnt out. I think he burnt me out. And I was like, I can't do this. So I quit. And I was so burnt out that I moved back to North Carolina. I started working at Bank of America, which most people do not know this. And there were still people at Bank of America who still work there from when I worked there when I was in college. And they were like, wait a minute, weren't you working for Puff Daddy? And I was like, yes, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to come back home.
Wait, after working with Puff for 4 months, you go back and you're at Bank of America in North
Yep.
Carolina.
Yes. Then I started working. I'm going to make this fast because I know we've only got 10 minutes.
I know, 8 minutes, but I might have to extend this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I started working as a teacher, teaching sewing in a middle school. So I left Bank of America. I started teaching at a middle school, and I taught for a whole semester at the middle school. And I got a phone call from Carlene Roy, who's probably on this live. Hey,
I saw her
Carlene.
up here earlier. Hi, Carlene.
Yes.
Love you.
So Carlene called me. I did not know Carlene. She was like, hey, Mr. Combs wants to or Dia, who was Puff's chief of staff at the time, wants to travel back to Europe, and he wants you to travel with him. And I was like, how much is he paying me? And so the money made sense, and I packed my stuff, and I went back to New York, and I went to Europe with Puff for that summer, and then I ended up staying for like 4 more years, and then Puff Daddy tried me one time on a video. Terrell, if you're still on, Puff tried me at a video, and
please tell us about that. What happened? Tell us what happened.
Wait, what?
I said, please tell us what happened. How did he try you? Can you give us a quick little story? Wait. Before you do that, real quick, Derek. Wait. You ready? Do you have an extra of maybe 15 minutes on the other side of this? Do you have another 15, 20 minutes?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, everyone who's tuned into Office Hours for the last 10 weeks, I know we've never made an exception, but it's our season finale week, and we're going to do what we want to do. And so we're going to extend this. And so at 3 o'clock, we're gonna log off and we're gonna come back for like 20, 30 more minutes because Derek, you're dropping the gems. We're from the same hometown. I have the right to extend this live. So, okay, tell this story, then we'll get off and we'll all hop back on. I hope you guys join us, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to be transparent and candid and honest, right? We had came back literally from Glasgow. We had been in Ireland, and Puff had done this huge performance, and we were on a video set, and he was looking for this one pair of sunglasses. And much like Terrell mentioned, usually on set, I'll have hundreds of sunglasses. And he was looking for this one pair, and I could not find him. I don't know if he lost them. I mean, I know I didn't lose them because I don't lose anything. So he clearly lost them. So Puff misplaced these glasses, but it's my responsibility to know, even when he's lost something, where is it? That's my job. I couldn't find him, and he started going off. And then he basically got upset and started trying on glasses, and as he was trying them on, he got frustrated and he would take them off and throw them. So as he's throwing one pair of these glasses, it kind of got close to my head. And I was like, is he trying to hit me with a pair of sunglasses? And so I was kind of like, had a woo-saw, and I walked over to the other side of the room. He was like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I was just kind of like walking over here. I didn't want to get hit by sunglasses. And he went off. It was not the time to make a joke, and he got really upset, and he just said a few choice words. And you have to remember, this is for people who are learning to work under very strong personality people. We're always in a service industry. Your job is to service, whether you're at Subway, whether you're at a movie theater, whether you work at Saks, whether you work in marketing or PR, you are servicing a client, right? So my client happened to be Puff Daddy. So I was also stressed out, right? So I'm in a high stress environment. He's shooting a video. He wants to look amazing. So I think that although I was trying to service him, I think both of our emotions, got a little bit out of hand. And he basically started talking to me as if I was, not an employee and I was a friend. And I just couldn't figure out how to manage a conversation because I then started talking as Derek, not the employee. And so the conversation escalated, and I was like, you know what? You and your sunglasses have a great photo shoot. This is where I exit stage left. And I left. And I ended up resigning again the second time. And I called my assistant, told her to book me a flight, and I flew back. We were in Miami. I flew back to New York that night, and I was back in New York before they even finished the video. So that was the second time I quit.
I love that. Okay, yeah. On that note, everybody come right back because this cuts us off at an hour. So what I have to do is we have to go out. Derek, do not leave. Come back.
Wait, okay? So I just go back to your...
So you're going to go back to mine. So I'm just going to log off. Hey, y'all, we're all coming back. So tune in for After Hours. So we're going to be right back here, Derek. So I'm just going to log off and come back so we have a solid hour. We might only stay 30 minutes, but at least we won't get kicked off. All right?
Okay.
All right, y'all come back. Derek, I'll see you in a second. Okay. Yes, and we back. We ain't going nowhere. Ain't going nowhere. Okay. All right, cool. Well, all right, so thank you all for coming back. Derek, thank you for coming back. All right, so let's talk about it. So then, that's the second time you quit. So for everyone who missed, catch the first part. It's on alive. It's already saved. So if y'all missed it, Derek, this is our second part of our interview. He did the first part already. We went through his story from UNCG, from hometown to UNCG, to internships, to Vibe, to Diddy, to quitting Diddy, to back to Diddy, to quitting Diddy again. And now we're on his second walk out. Okay, so now, all right, so you left. The shoot is over. How do you get back? What happened? How did you get back? And also I want to know how you guys came to a resolution where it's like, it's okay for you to come back.
Yeah, I think, well, quickly, when I left that time, that was the first time where I started like freelancing on my own. The other thing about me is, I had a checkbook when I was 13 years old, right? So I'm all about structure. I need some parameters for me to feel stable and comfortable. So I don't know if many people on this live know, but like a full-time stylist is very unorthodox. That's not a normal position that people hold, with celebrities. Like if you think about J-Lo stylist or, Rihanna Stylist. Like, these people probably are their go-to stylists, but they're probably not on salary.
Yeah.
Even though every minute of every day is probably, absorbed by their client, but being on an actual salary and not as a freelancer, again, it's a little bit unorthodox. So for me, I actually always liked that setup because it made me feel comfortable with me as a business person, and having a set, stream of revenue coming in,
Yes.
and I would freelance.
Now, did you start like that with him as a stylist, or was it
Yes.
initially go to? So you started as like, I'm on salary stylist, I'm with you.
Well, that's what they were hiring for.
Got you. Okay.
But let me tell you why.
Okay.
It kind of worked for the both of us. I was okay with doing that because I wanted a set salary, but Puff and his team was smart because they knew that they would get the best buck. I mean, the best
bang for their buck. Yeah,
yes.
Because Puff, and that's what I'm thinking. So that's part of my second line of questioning is the fact that, like, he's one city one day, the morning, the next city the next day, whatever. And Puff is also one who he's in the boardroom, he's on the street, he's
Correct.
in the ads, he's in the music video, he's an artist this moment. So you have to plan for different cities. Correct. Different times that you might not know, and different looks that you're like, I don't know if he's going to a party or a meeting, or he got like, what?
I think a lot of it goes with my personality, so I was able to pick up, with his. I was able to get on his frequency. I was able to, to dodge and to execute, and I think that's one reason why we've been able to work well together is because I was able to work at his bandwidth. And again, I'm there to service. So I don't get to pick and choose like what city I want to go to and what job I want to do. So it was like you either sink or swim. It's one or the other. And again, even though I had been in the game for a while, I had never really worked for a celebrity full time. I never aspired to be a celebrity stylist. You forget, and I didn't really mention this, but when I was in school at UNCG, I was really designing women's wear. So all of my creative projects really revolved around women. So when I spoke of Galliano and Gaultier and McQueen, those were my three go-to, for inspiration in college. And so I was drawing women's wear. I was making women's wear. So then I pivoted to, and changed it to menswear. And so anyway, my point is that when I quit that time, I was freelancing. Another job came up. Puff. The other thing is that aside from, I tell people this all the time, and people might, think this is not smart to say, but I don't really care. I've never, claimed to be the best stylist. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can outstyle this person, or I'm better than, Luxury Law, or I'm better than Maeve Riley, or I'm better than, whomever. But I know I work my ass off. I know I'm creative. And I know that I'm going to tap into my resources, and you're not going to outwork me. You know what I mean? So I think what it is that what I was trying to do was, just also learn while working with Puff. And he called me back and wanted me to work with him for the Grammys. And what a lot of people don't know is, working with these celebrities and these high profile people, it's really a lot about confidentiality and who they feel comfortable with. And I guess, growing up with, brothers and sisters and, and I guess just having I'm not saying I do, but a lot of people say I have a outgoing personality. I think it was easy for me.
Oh, really?
I think it was easy for me again to get, ingrained in the DNA of like this bad boy family and kind of be a part of all the different things that Puff was a part of. So I guess Puff felt comfortable with me. So after I quit, he wanted me to work with him for the Grammys, and I went back for the third time. And
Okay, so
that's
how
how
much time is in between this, and how do y'all fix this? Y'all go to counseling? Is there therapy? Like, tell me, because it's not like you're not just gonna leave me on set and fly home and then be like, and then I'm calling you and be like, can you come back? Like, no, we got to talk.
right. I think when you work so closely with someone, like it's not like I work from 9 to 5 and I clock out and I go home.
Yeah,
We're traveling around the world with each other. We're on like private jets with each other, like in the
yeah,
same space.
yeah,
We're not sleeping in the same rooms in the same room, but we're sleeping on the plane together. We're
yeah,
falling asleep together for 30
yeah,
minutes on
yeah,
set because we've been up for 3 days.
yeah,
So and then just by default, you kind of become very comfortable. And so I think that, Puff would get very comfortable with me sometimes, and I would get very comfortable with him. So sometimes that, line of like employer,
yeah,
employee kind of
yeah.
got gray.
Got you.
So I think what we just had to do is like set, a precedence of like what we both felt comfortable with, what he expected of me, what I expected of him, in a very mature business way. At the end of the day, it's business, right?
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing I think I've learned with working with Puff. It's all business,
Yes.
like me styling, me being a creative director. It's all about business. That's how I make my money. This is not a hobby for me, even though I find joy in it. But if
Yeah.
I want to pay my bills and I want to do other things like open up a store and buy property, then I have to be smart about my business. So you kind of got to put your personal feelings to the side and learn when to put on, your business hat. And, my dad was an entrepreneur, or, he's an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. So I think that, you just have to learn how to, as creative as we all like to be,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to think business, and there
Yes.
has to be a fine balance, with
Yeah.
budgets and working with, people like Puff. At the end of the day, this is my business too.
Yeah.
This is my brand as well. So I think it's just about, finding a balance with how to communicate and work with one another. And when you've worked with someone for 10 plus years, traveling all around the world with their family, and their significant other, again, each of us got comfortable. And I think it just goes back down to business and have a big boy conversation, and you respect me and I respect you, and let's make some money.
And
So
let's make some money. And so that's the last. So since then, you've been there.
I've been here, but what I did have to do is, I had to train, much like Puff trained me to work, his way. I also had to train Puff to work my way, and also understand is if I'm going to devote my time and, my weekends and my holidays, and I'm going to sacrifice, spending time with my family, spending birthdays with my nieces, spending Christmas Eve with your family, you're going to have to cut me some slack and allow me to work with other clients. So I got to a point in my career where it was time for me to work with other people.
Mm.
And again, working with Puff for this long, he's the one who introduced me to Nicki Minaj. He's the one who introduced me to Rick Ross. And then because of those platforms and the experience and the resources I had with working with those people, that opened up doors for me to work with Neo. That opened up doors for me to work with Usher. A gentleman, Phil Robinson, who worked with Puff for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
He actually introduced me to Kobe Bryant.
Oh, that's right. You did do
Yeah, so I worked with
Kobe.
Kobe.
I
Me
forgot
and
about
John.
that.
Yeah, I know. So we miss you, Kobe.
We miss you,
Um,
Kobe. Oh my
yeah. So
gosh.
anyway, so working with people like Phil introduced me to Kobe. So obviously I had the privilege and the pleasure to work with someone as big as him. And so again, I think, you take it by stride, and really, sometimes you have to ground yourself and not get caught up, in what you want and how you're feeling and the stress and everything. And also having like a good circle of friends, like, you and Carlene and Mimsor and Terrell and, different people that you can bounce ideas off of and be like, can you believe he said this? And
Yeah.
should I do that? And,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's always been a lot, but I think again, like what is the saying about like diamonds and pressure?
Yes.
Like,
There's a saying.
there's a saying about pressure and diamonds, and the
Yes.
pressure is what makes the
What makes the
diamond.
diamonds?
And
Yes.
so I think when you're working, with someone like Puff, it's like all the pressure and all the stress and the long nights and the long days. It is just, I'm not proclaiming myself to be a diamond, but I think that
Yeah.
pressure, and that high intensity working environment has really just helped me to learn how to be a better businessman, learn, my value, and also just to be, awesome at what I do. And I feel like now I can go in, to work with any brand, any Fortune 500 company, any global brand, national brand, and feel confident that I'm supposed to be here. Like,
Yes.
I've worked with some of the best, and so
You have.
um, so
You
I
have.
just feel like I can go into any boardroom and have a conversation, with the president or the CEO or the CMO or the
Mm-hmm.
publicist, and feel comfortable in, the dialogue, or whatever that process is. And I think a lot of that,
Yes.
came from working with Puff.
Okay, so many things I want to go back to. But so one thing is about, well, first off, y'all drop all these diamonds in the comments so Derek knows that he's a shining diamond. Shining, shining, shining. The diamonds, diamonds, put your diamonds up. Okay. But what I wanted to say was you said something earlier about how you had to train Puff into
Mm,
that. And I think that's really important for a lot of us creators. That's something I say a lot of the times. And it's not necessarily about training, but it's about there's a part of it is training, but it's also about having your own systems in place. So then when you come to the table, you're not automatically just falling into whatever the insert client is, whatever their system is. Like you have to have some systems for yourself, and you have to train certain people. Like, oh yeah, you send me an email at 2 o'clock in the morning, I might be up, but I'm not responding until 9 a.m. Or
right.
whatever your certain things are of how you might
Mm,
move. You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
mm.
So I think that's a major key. And so even in you doing that, like, is that part of like that idea? Do you think that that's now helped you? Well, obviously, it has helped you in navigating your relationship with him and being able to take on other clients because now you're kind of like you said, pressure makes diamonds, and so now you're like, oh, you know what? I have a system in place now that affords me the opportunity to. You have a store in North Carolina. You have properties. You style other clients. You style Puff. You have a relationship. You have nieces. You have like it's like how you do what?
Right.
So that brings me to teamwork makes the dream work. How is your team structure? Like I see you. If you guys don't follow Derek, everybody needs to follow Derek. His Insta stories are amazing because again, it's references, it's resources, it's patterns, but then it's also fun times with your team of you guys traveling or whatever things might be going
Right.
on. But you have mad bags. There seems to be a styling world, like because you style. It seems like you style the Bad Boy family. Like
Correct.
like you do the whole thing. So how do you manage all of that team wise? Like how do you structure that?
I think a lot of it started by learning as I went, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started by myself, doing all of it by myself. And one of the things my sister always says, and Carlene always says, is like, work smarter, not harder. And being a micromanager and, wanting to kind of control everything, you have to learn how to empower other people, right? And so I'm only as good as my team is, right? Like I can't be, in Miami with Nikki for a video, and with in Miami, and then with Puff in New York for an award show, and then be with Usher, in Atlanta for, a charity event. I just can't do it. So it really starts with training people and all of these tools and gems that I was taught, from the John Moores, from the Michael Nashes, from the Mimsors, from the Puff Daddies, and, I then have to give those same tools to my team so they
Mm.
can help like pass the torch, right? Um,
Yes.
and really all of my A1 assistants have came from interns. And I
Mm.
have found interns on Craigslist. I have found interns from friends of mine who referred people. And don't get me wrong, I've been burnt by a lot of interns and a lot of assistants as well. So, and I'm a super private person. Although like I put a lot of stuff on Instagram, like, obviously because I work with such high profile clientele, high net worth individuals, you know, I can't just bring anyone with me to an appointment. Oftentimes, you know, my assistants or interns don't even meet the client until 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you know, working on a project. So, and so it's really about trying to find individuals who are like-minded, people who have an amazing work ethic. You know, I've even gone as far as to say, like, I don't want to hire anyone. HR, do not, you know, call me. Don't send me into the Better Business Bureau or the FDA or the NBA or the CIA. But, you know, not hiring people who have boyfriends or girlfriends, not hiring people who have children. So sometimes you have to be strategic about who you hire. I really don't want to hire an assistant who's married with 3 children. It's like, how are you going to invest your time, you know, working with me when I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and holidays? So you also have to be smart about the type of people, the individuals, and the personalities that you're hiring. And one of my longtime assistants, shout out to June Choi. I don't know if June is on, and you
Hey,
see June on
June.
my Insta stories.
Yes,
I
all the
met him on
time.
Craigslist. He interned for me while he was in college. My one of my assistants, I moved him. I relocated him to New York, and I needed a new one. And I called June. I was like, June. And it happened serendipitously. Like one of my assistants, John, had to move to New York. June was amazing. I just didn't have the revenue to pay 2 full time at the time. And June was ready, and he's fallen into place. And we work like clockwork. And I mean, it's amazing. I'm blessed to have a June. And people always ask me, like, how many, you know, assistants do you have? At any given point, I can have up to 12 assistants. But you're thinking
What?
about it, they're between New York, LA, and Miami. So these aren't people that are on my payroll all the time, but these
Got
are,
you.
you know, interns or assistants that I have worked with throughout the years who, when I can't be in Miami and I need a project completed, I call them. You know, when I need,
Got it.
you know, to advance a project in New York, I call them and they set it up. And then when I arrive, you know, 50%, 70% of my project is already started. So
Got you.
how do I do it? I think when you get thrown into the fire, like or thrown into the water, like I say, it's either sink or swim. So you figure it out. So a lot of this is just me, you know, taking the initiative, you know, to build an awesome, you know, network. I
Mm-hmm.
tap into my friends when I need something, you know. So I think it's just, you know, have taken the initiative to learn and grow and build as you grow. You know, I didn't step in. I didn't graduate from college and be like, okay, I'm gonna be a celebrity stylist. Even when I moved, you know, I went from New York, North Carolina to New York. I didn't know New York, but I had the wherewithal and the hustle to figure out how to navigate New York. So, you
Yes.
know, New York is not for the weak-minded or the weak-hearted. So, you
No,
know, and
ma'am.
they say if you can make it in New York, you can make it
Make it
anywhere.
anywhere.
I wasn't really thinking that, but like if anybody knows my mom is a beast in all her 100 pounds. And you know, anybody who you know compliments me on my personality or my work ethic, I really just think, you know, it came from my mom and, you know, being inspired by her and my grandparents and, you know, my family. So I think I posted this on my Instagram the other day. On my Instagram, I do 2 things. One, I either was, you know, somebody gave me something that inspired me. So I put it on my Instagram, the Insta story really to share it with others. Um, or I might be in a hard space myself, and I'm literally like motivating myself, and I put it on my Insta story because I'm not only speaking to the people who are following me, but I'm speaking to myself. It's
Myself.
my way of motivating myself.
Mm.
So, so I
Yes.
think that, you know, it's just about finding whatever that is inspires you, and really like having tunnel vision and not, you know, taking no for an answer or not letting an obstacle get in your way to stop you from whatever you want to do.
Yes, yes, Derek. You better drop these gems. This is all too good. Okay, wait, I did want to speak to, there was something else I want to speak to from that last story whenever you walked out with Puff or whatever else. I think the idea of leaving something that you don't feel like serves you, like, and having the, like, kind of just having the faith to step away from something that, you know, it's Puff, but you're like, you know what? this right now, this is not serving me. I'm going to walk out. But again, you've always trusted. It seems like your story, the story that I keep hearing is that what is for you keeps coming back to you. How it's supposed, you know what I'm saying? So, but what do you think it is that has allowed you the or just kind of the strength or the fortitude to be able to step out in these moments when you can identify, like, I've trained these people this in this way, my clients, or you can't talk to me this way, or I'm not moving like this, I'm moving like this. Like, what, yeah, where did that come from?
I think one of the things is, and I'm gonna say this, I'm not saying I live by this, but if if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I think that, again, I'll go back to what I said before. I've really, really worked hard to have the opportunity and the privilege to work with these people.
Yes.
My mama says this about me, to people who live in Goldsboro, who she might run into in the market. But she says that, they're just as, they should be, my clients or the companies I work for should be just as honored to work with me than I am with them. So,
That
I
part.
offer something. I'm servicing, these companies or these brands or these clients for a reason. I offer something they want. So at the point where they do not find value in that, or they don't respect, what this, 18 plus years of knowledge, has given me, then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go work with someone who appreciates that. And I don't want to sit here on live and preach this sermon, because a lot of my friends,
Preach.
a lot of my friends know me. Me and Puff and me and some of my other clients, it is hard to walk away. It is hard to walk away. So I don't want to stand here and act like it's always been easy to just be like, oh, well, you're not going to talk to me this way. And if you don't pay me $5 extra, then I'm quitting. Like, it's always not that easy. But I do think that if you follow with the thought or lead with the thought that, you're there to offer service, or you're there working and you're working hard, it goes back to what you said. Once you make that decision, somehow for me, and I think it's for everyone, it's going to come back, around. I think I work really hard. I'm a really honest person. I try to be, I don't try to stab my clients or my assistants and people, in the back. Even though I could. Where are my scissors? Let me find my scissors. But yeah, so I think that I always tell people, if you make a game plan and you follow that game plan, it's gonna lead you down the right path. So I guess it's just believing and knowing your value, and just speak up for yourself, and at the end of the day, it's kind of like they say, like, closed mouths don't get fed. And so if you don't speak up for yourself, who is going to speak up for you? Mama, daddy, they're not there to protect you, after you get out of college and after you're, facing your boss. So
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, these clients are going to try to get as much out of you as they can. And that's fine, as long as you're paying me what's that value and what that is worth to me. So I think it's just really, get grounded, know your worth and your value. And if you so choose to work, for something that's creative, and you don't necessarily need a monetary, a high monetary reward for that, that's fine. But I think, I think fear is what you make it. And so I guess it's just like follow, like, whatever that path or whatever that game plan is that you have. And when you come to that point where you're like, okay, I got to make a decision, I think that's growing pains. And I think it's you're growing and you're learning. And not only, you're probably learning more about yourself than you're learning about whoever it is that you're working with, right? So I don't know. I guess it's, know your worth and know your value is probably the easiest way to answer that question.
That's it. I love that. Okay, that's a soundbite. Okay, wait. So I also wanted to talk about the idea of respect, because I feel like you've demanded respect in this with the clients that you work with, and I don't necessarily think that that's an easy thing to do, because necessarily for you, for a lot of people, especially working with the type of clientele you work for. But then, in particular, let's talk about it. You work in hip hop, like, which is a black art form, with, you know, Puff, who's, very, there's this machismo that comes with that, etc. It's this city life that comes with it. You are a white country boy who might not come across as with as much machismo. I'll just say that. But you know what I'm saying? So how in those rooms, yes, that was, it's all love. So I love that. And I know you stand firm in who you
Yeah.
are, but I'm just wondering, and just for the people, like, how in those rooms, how do you move in those rooms when, as yourself? Because that's the other thing about yourself. You are completely, always, authentically yourself, which I think people actually, we love, but in those rooms, has it been challenging?
I think, working in this industry is challenging. I guess people will question me. I'll be honest. I think I've probably not gotten jobs, because, I'm not the most masculine, or I'm not black, or some male artists, would prefer to work with a girl, or some girl artists would prefer to work with a girl. So I think it's just preference.
Yeah.
And I do try to be authentically myself.
Yeah.
My mom always says, like, if you tell a lie, you have to continue lying
To cover up that lie.
And then you can't even keep up with what the first lie was when you're at lie number 20. So it's like, for me, it's like, I guess, I think it goes back to what I said. I offer my viewpoint. I offer my vantage point. I think that the good thing is maybe because I'm not black, because maybe I'm not, super masculine, or I'm not super this, or I'm not super that. I think it's that juxtaposition when I'm working with these clients that make such a beautiful chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's authentic and organic.
Absolutely.
And I think that, at the end of the day, I think because, as a stylist, my job is to amplify something that kind of already exists, right? I'm trying to pull out, that creative artist, or add to that flair, or give some flair to something that probably is already there, or, and to make what I do look authentic on my client. So I think if I walk into the room and be like, oh, I'm short, oh, I'm bald headed, oh, I'm not black, or oh, I'm not, whatever. I feel like, who am I to try to empower someone when I don't even feel empowered myself? I'm not confident in my own walk. I'm not confident in my own talk. I'm not confident in the way I dress. And I'll be honest, half the time when I go to work, I'm wearing dirty T-shirts and sweatpants. So I know people are like, why the hell is he a stylist? But quite honestly, it's like, I don't feel like I have to dress, to impress all the time. Because when I do want to put on a moment, I can give you that. I don't have to
give you a moment.
Yeah, like, I don't have to walk around giving you a Dior moment to prove, that I'm a stylist, or that I can afford to wear this, or what have you. So you're still going to catch me at the Goodwill. You're still going to catch me at the Salvation Army. And I'm going to turn you out. No, I'm kidding. So I think it's easier for me to be myself. Thank you, Terrence.
Absolutely.
I think it's easier for me to be myself than to try to act like somebody else. And like, if I walk in the room trying to be CJ, something ain't gonna work right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, something's gonna fall through the cracks. So I'd rather get burnt by being me than be burnt by trying to be somebody that I'm not. So
yes, major word, a major word. Okay. All right, we're getting close to wrapping this up. This is just too good for me. Okay, real quick, what I do want to go to is, again, you're in Goldsboro. You speak a lot about your family, and I know that I know that you buy property and there's other things. What is next? What for you? Like, what's the idea of? I'm curious myself. Like, what retirement goals even?
Oh,
I took you there.
Okay, so well, I'll fast forward to retirement. I will
Okay.
retire in Goldsboro. I already have my store, which has grounded me in Goldsboro more than I already am. For those of you who um, are working enough to afford to invest in something. Whether it's real
Yes.
estate, whether it's another brand. If you look at any millionaire or billionaire, go to Forbes. I encourage you to look at, the top 100 richest people. I guarantee you more than, half of them, have, business ventures in more than one industry. They start in oil and then they go to real estate and then they go to technology or vice versa. They start in technology, they make all their money there, and then they go to real estate and then they go to, whatever. So for me, I know you put this on Instagram as like, how did I get through quarantine?
Yes.
Because I was fortunate enough to afford to invest in other endeavors that I was interested in, I was able to pivot and keep my mental sanity during quarantine because I've been blessed enough to be at home with my mom and my family. And, I have a real estate portfolio here. So I'm able to work on that. Not only has it been my mental therapy, it also is working me towards an end goal where those are, that's revenue that's coming back into me, where I haven't been able to make money styling. I haven't been able to make money consulting in LA. So, so basically, I would say pivot. And if you've got enough revenue, if you've got enough money and resources, try to use that to, expand your portfolio or your business. And if you don't have the resources to do that, doesn't mean you can't do your research. So that when you do have the resources, you're ready to lock and load and get started on that. So, so retirement for me will, be here working on my real estate, working on my store, and probably whatever else. I want to open up a pizza shop.
Yeah.
I want to open up all kinds of things. So,
Okay.
and I'll speak to this and be, vulnerable for a minute. I hate
Yes.
talking. People think because I'm loud and I'm talkative that I enjoy being, on camera. And I really don't. I really shy away
I
from it.
know.
I cut off very easily when the camera's on me. So one of the things I've been trying to challenge myself is to do this. So thank you, quarantine, for, and thank you, CJ, for giving me this opportunity to kind
Of
of get out of my comfort
course.
zone.
Of course.
Yeah, so well, and not retirement, but after like post quarantine, I want to do more TV stuff. Maybe it's a Good Morning Show, maybe it's the Ellen Show, maybe it's the Wendy Williams Show. Like I don't know, and just kind of talk, as like a fashion expert or from a
Yes.
fashion platform to the people at home and give my little tidbits on what you should and shouldn't be wearing or who's looking cute and who's not. So maybe look out for that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes, I mean that there was that project we were talking about before quarantine, which we
Yes.
haven't been able to double back on, which we will. But
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
those type moments. Yes,
Correct.
exactly, exactly. So I hope that here at Creative Genius Report, I'm building something that ultimately I'll be able to provide opportunities that feel somewhat like that for the creatives of my network. Just
Yes.
so you know. So I'm doubling back to you. I know I already doubled back to you for part two. So I know I'm two favors in with this one moment,
Oh,
but
stop.
I'm still coming back. Um, okay, so or just give me one. One question I got from people who submitted questions was your advice for young stylists who are trying to break into the industry.
It goes back to what I said. It doesn't matter if it's 1998 or 2020. I think a lot of the things I did was like cold calls, cold emails, cold resume sending. I think it's really doing your research and, educating yourself on the companies, the brands, the people that you would like to work for. And then
Mm-hmm.
after you've got that education, you educate them on who you are. Send them an email, send them a DM, send them follow them on Instagram. I tell people all the time because I've been told the same thing. I cannot aspire to be, a NBA basketball player, and I'm not even on a basketball team. Like I got Michael Jordan poster and I got LeBron James poster, but I'm not on a team playing basketball, or I don't even have, I don't even play basketball at school, or, you know, I'm not playing basketball with my neighborhood friends. So for me, you know, you can't be a designer, you can't be a stylist, you can't be a makeup artist, you can't be, you know, all these different people if you're not engaging in that community, you're not a part of that network. I can say, like, I have been so successful in my career because of the resources and the network I have made. And I know anybody in the industry will tell you this, whether you've had lots of success or a little bit, is I'm only as successful as my network. You know, my friends who are makeup artists, who are PR people, marketing people like yourself, you know, other stylists. I'm only as strong as them. You know how many times I call other stylists like, oh my God, I need a jewelry designer. Oh my God, I need a shoemaker. Oh my God, I need this. So, you know, put yourself out there. Talk to other people. Educate yourself on who are the people you want to be like. You know, send them a message and see if they need an assistant or an intern, or if they'll allow a shadowing opportunity. The worst they can say is no. And out of those 100, much like me, you might get 5 callbacks and 1 yes. So try to get that. All you need is 1 yes.
1 yes, and you never know who that 1 yes is gonna be.
Never know.
And you've had these 1 yeses that have catapulted your career, and then you've had amazing and iconic no's that aren't really no's, that are that are more so like not yet, that are like not now, or not like, you know what I'm saying? Your story is really, it's really amazing. Like, as I know some of the nuances now, I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't a no, that was a not right now, not yet. You know what I'm saying? So y'all remember that. Yes, all it takes is 1 yes, and usually those no's aren't really no's, they're actually not yet. So there's a moment. Okay, cool. A couple quick questions. What's your favorite music video of all time? These are not personal. I'm just going there.
Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson.
Say it.
Was it Scream?
Oh, Scream. Yes. Somebody just said that recently too. Oh my God. That's like a lot of people's. Okay, that's a good one. What's your favorite movie?
This is gonna sound silly. But The Secret Garden.
I don't even know this movie.
It's old. So it's about this little girl who was an orphan, and she got she got sent to live in this big, huge castle, and the garden was dead, and it was her. She was sent there to bring this garden back to life. And she goes back to this castle girl, and she brings this garden back to life, honey, and the birds and the trees and the squirrels and the bees were just living their best life in the garden, honey. So, but that is all because because it's sentimental, because my mama and the garden and me and my mom.
Okay. So. I love it. Okay, that's beautiful. Okay, what are you watching now? What have you been watching during quarantine, or a highlight view? Nothing?
I don't watch TV. I watch, if I watch TV, it's HGTV. And what I've been watching now is YouTube videos on how to. Another thing I've been trying to do is learn how to do things myself. So while I've been home and doing a lot of home improvements, instead of calling my contractor, instead of calling Tron, instead of calling my brother, instead of calling my stepfather, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this myself. I just bought a weed eater, and I'm going to learn how to use it. And I've just got a new drill. Thank you, Tron. I just got a new drill, so I'm learning how to use it myself. So y'all can sit home and watch these Netflix movies all you want, but I'm on YouTube learning how to use a drill. I'm learning how to find a floor. So y'all watch these movies if you want. I'm learning how to be a tool man. I'm trying.
Not a tool man. I'm not doing this.
Keep on. Keep on.
Oh my God, I love you so much. I cannot deal. Okay, wait a minute. Real quick, we're about to do a game of either or. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Red carpet or TV?
What you mean?
A game of either or. You choose which. Red carpet. It's styling. Red carpet or TV? Which one?
Oh, I would like to do TV.
Okay. Suiting or streetwear?
Streetwear.
Country life or city life?
Country life.
Fashion or style?
Style.
Goodwill or Salvation Army?
Salvation Army.
90s or now?
90s.
Kahinde Wali or Basquiat?
Woo! Can I have a child?
All right, I won't make you answer that one. There's gonna be another one. Well, actually, answer it. Just what comes to mind. What?
Basquiat.
Okay, thank you. Private jet or yacht?
Yacht.
Cute. Ciroc or De Leon?
Ciroc.
Hillstones or Philippe Chow?
Hillstones.
Oprah or Obama?
Who?
Oprah or Obama?
I would say Obama.
Dover Street or Jeffries?
Dover Street.
Compassion or tough love?
Compassion.
Early morning or late night?
Early morning.
Call or text?
Text.
Yes, everything. Okay, real quick game of word association. Ready? So
Okay.
whatever comes to mind. Carolina.
Family.
Vibe.
Ooh, my beginning.
Luxury.
Oof. My mama.
Yes, Diddy.
College 2.0.
College. Yes. Passion.
Giving.
Okay. Dapper Dan.
Inspiration.
Expensive.
Me.
Yes. Originality.
My go-to.
Inspiration.
The street.
Rye.
That new.
Yes. Rye, that new. Everything to me. Okay. I want you to leave us with a quote to live by. Already, because you've given so many, but go ahead.
Let me get this one right. Do the things you have to do now so you can enjoy the things you want to do later. Does that make sense?
Make it make sense.
So now, like, I have to be disciplined and do the things maybe I said it wrong. Do the things now that you don't necessarily want to do so you can do the things you want to do later. Meaning, I might not want to, paint these houses and mow the grass or hire a plumber or hire an electrician, but I'm doing these things now so when I retire, I can sit on this real estate portfolio and count my money. So what I'm saying is that although I might not want to put in a lot of work on certain things now, you have to put in the work now so you can enjoy the fruits of your labor later.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Absolutely. And you are living that life.
Let me say it again. Water your own seed now so you can reap the benefits of your harvest later.
Yes. Water your seeds. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing on them how-to videos on YouTube. Yes. You're watering them seeds. You got that weed whacker. And yes, you are watering them seeds and whacking them weeds. Derek, I love you so much. Thank you so much. This was fun. I had so much fun. Thank you guys so much for coming. Tell Will Mama I said hey. Tell Tron I said hey. And I love you so much. Thank you, because I know this is out of the ordinary. So that's why I was like, let me get as much as I can now. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it. I've had so much fun. Thank you. Let me use this platform. I love it.
Of course, babe. Okay, and I'll see you when I come home soon. I'll be home probably in the next couple weeks. You'll probably still be there. Wayne County, stand up. I'm Mount Olive, Goldsboro, Southern Wayne. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I love you. All right.
Okay, love you.
Bye,
everyone.
Yo, that was fun, right? That was fun, you guys. Okay, so I know we're way over the hour. Y'all are over it. Let me just play y'all out with a little. So, all right. Tomorrow, I got Jerome Lamar, amazing creative director and designer. It's gonna be another good time. This is our finale week, so we just kind of we're a little bit rogue, but it's amazing. Derek, I can't thank you enough. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming and dropping so many gems. Drop some more diamonds for him. Diamonds, 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 diamonds. Anyway, okay, all right, guys. So I'm clocking out. I know I'm clocking out late, but it's all good. It's our season finale week. Tomorrow, like I said, we have Jerome Lamar. On Thursday, we have Jamel McWilliams, choreographer, Lizzo's choreographer, Janelle Monáe's choreographer, John Legend's choreographer, and we might have a little something special for you. And then Friday is our season finale celebration. It's our 50th show, and we're doing a season finale. We're going to do giveaways. It's going to be a party. It's going to be lit. So come back. All right, y'all. Thank you again, Derek. I love you so much. Thank you, Terrell, for bringing him into the room. And thank all you geniuses for joining in. I appreciate y'all. All right. I'm clocking out. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.